Alright, welcome to another episode of You're in Mr. DeMude's class, but I'm not. We're going to continue on dealing with geometric mean. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in on problem number 3. Alright, on problem number 3 it says find x, y, and z. Alright, so I'm going to be highlighting some things. I want you to notice that this distance right here is 8. This distance right here is 23. And this distance is the altitude of this right triangle. So all you have to do is say x squared, and I'll change it to green. X squared equals 8 times 23. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to find the exact values and the approximate values. You would take the square root of this side, and you'd have to take the square root of this side. Okay. Now 8 times 23 is 184, but since we have to break down this radical anyways, we're just going to go ahead and leave it the way it is. We're going to break down this to a 4 and a 2. 23 is just a 23 and a 1. The 4 breaks down to a 2 and a 2, so a 2 comes out. So we have 2 radical, and 2 times 23 stays in, so you're left with 46. Now, in the calculator, if you type in the square root of 184, you get this approximate value. Okay, and if you type in 2 radical 46, you get the exact same value. Okay, so the square root of 184 and the square root of 2 radical 46, they're the exact same. This is just simplified. This one is not. Okay, so I'm going to go back here, and I'm going to put x is equal to 2 radical 46, and that's our first one. All right, now that we know that this right here is 2 radical 46, we're going to use that. We're going to break this triangle, this large right triangle, into 3 similar triangles. We're going to have a small triangle, medium, and a large. So I'm just going to make them just like this. We got the small, we got the medium, and then we have the large. So what I want you to do in your journal, all right, is go ahead and draw these out so you know how you can break down triangles and compare them. Okay. Now I'm going to label the sides. In the small triangle, the shortest leg is an 8. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight this side right here and make it an 8. The middle leg is 2 radical 46. I'm going to highlight this side right here, and I'm going to make that side equal to 2 radical 46. Okay. And then over here, 2 radical 46 is actually the shortest leg in the medium triangle. This right here is the medium triangle. I'm tracing it right now. So if you're watching, you'll notice this right here is the medium triangle. And the middle leg is actually this distance all the way across. That's equal to 23. All right. Now, we have 2 radical 46. All right, we have 23. We have the 8. We have the 2 radical 46 right here. And now we're going to go ahead and look at what we have remaining. All right. So this right here, this distance, I'm going to highlight in a completely different color. This distance right here, we're going to call y. So right here, I'm going to label this right here as y. This right here is the hypotenuse of the small triangle. That's the hypotenuse. But it's also the shortest leg of this triangle right here. That's the shortest leg. So I'm going to label this one y. Okay. Now the hypotenuse of this is 8 plus 23. So you'll notice right here, this distance from here all the way down, I am going to label, I'm going to go in orange right here, I'm going to label this 31. So I want you to notice that this distance from here all the way down, that distance right there is 8 plus 23. And this last distance over here is z. and I'm running out of colors. So I'm just going to label it Z. Okay? However, I want you guys to know what we are allowed to compare. We're allowed to compare this side to this side to this side. Okay? So right now, what I want you to do is I want you to look at what we're allowed to compare, and we'll use those comparisons to solve the missing side. So look at these similar triangles, and we'll set up proportions to solve for y, and we will set up proportions to solve for z. So let's check this out. Let's compare this side, this hypotenuse, to the 31. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to write y right here equals this side, which is 31. Okay? Just like, I'm going to put just like here, all right? This 8 right here. All right, I had to pause the video there. Let me get back to where we were. Okay, so this hypotenuse is equal to this hypotenuse, just like this shortest side is equal to this shortest side. So right here, put y. Now we are allowed to cross multiply once again. And when you find your cross products, you get y squared equals the product of 8 times 31. And then once again you have to take the square root of this side, and you have to take the square root of this side. Now we're going to simplify this once again. Okay? 8 breaks down into a 4 and a 2. The 4 breaks down to a 2 and a 2. And a radical, all right, a square root, for example, like the square root of 49, that's equal to a 7 because 7 times 7 is 49. So square roots look for groups of 2 or pairs. So what comes out? A 2 comes out. What stays inside? 2 times 31, which is 62. Now, right now, I want you to know that your y value is equal to, simplified as 2 radical 62. Now, if I were to go in the graphing calculator and type in 2 radical 62 and press enter, all right, and then with the square root of 248. Now, if you're wondering what the square root of 248, how did I get that? That's because 8 times 31 is 248. So the unsimplified, all right, the unsimplified radical is the square root of 248, but the simplified radical is 2 radical 62. So I'm going to go up here and put 2 radical 62. So y equals 2 radical 62. Now I'm going to write approximate values next to these so you guys can understand what the approximate values are equal to as far as the lengths. All right, so we go back. 2 radical 46 was 13.6. All right, 13.6. And 2 radical 62 was 15.7. Okay, so now all we have to do, so far so good, all we have to do now is find z. And this is what you're going to be doing today. You're going to set things up, small, medium to large. Set them, break these triangles down, make a small triangle, make a medium triangle, make a large triangle, then see what you are allowed to compare. So now I'm going to fill in my sides. So now I have a y value that is 2 radical 62. All right, over here I have a 2 radical 62. All right, so now what we're going to do is we are going to use the medium triangle and compare it to the large triangle. Now, in order to compare the medium triangle to the large triangle, what we're going to have to do, okay, so we're going to make this a little bit easier to simplify. So right now, I want you to notice where this z is. This z is the hypotenuse of the medium triangle. So I'm going to put z right here, okay? So right there, there's the z right there. And what we're going to do is we are going to compare this hypotenuse to this side and set it equal to this hypotenuse to this side. It's probably the easiest way to compare it. So right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to erase some work that I did earlier that was going to take way too long. Okay? And right now, all I want you to do is do z over 23 equals 31 over z. So right now we're comparing the medium triangle to the large triangle. There's your proportion. All you have to do is cross multiply. You get z squared equals the product of 23 times 31, and then you take the square root of both sides, and 23 times 31 is 713. Alright, so 23 times 31 is 713. You take the square root, and that's going to be your final answer, which is 26.7. Alright, this is approximately equal to 26.7. So, right down here, z is equal to the square root of 713. So right now we'll put z equals the square root of 713, which is approximately equal to 26.7. All of these answers right here, all of these answers are your exact answers. All of these are your approximates. Okay? So this is what I want you guys to do when you guys are setting up. I want you guys to make a small triangle, a medium triangle, and a large triangle out of this, and make sure you label everything so you can clearly see what you are allowed to compare. What did we compare in the first triangle? Well, the first thing we did was we multiplied 8 times 23, took the square root of it to find this side right here. Okay? That was the first thing that we did. Then the next thing that we did, what we compared, alright, this y value, alright, to this y value. So we set up this one, this right here. This is the small triangle right here. We put small to the large. And then lastly, we compared the medium to the large. So here's your proportions that you need to be aware of and put into your journal. Alright? I'm going to go ahead and start the next one because I'm sure some of you are probably wondering how to start it. So we're going to go ahead and start the next one. And then I'm not going to finish this one. I'm just going to set up all of our sides. Okay? So if I do 25 minus 6, that's going to give me a 19. So I'm going to put 19 right here. That's the distance from right here to right here. Once again, I'm going to make a small, a medium, and a large triangle. So there we go. Small, medium, and a large triangle. So right now, the small triangle has a 6, an X, and a Y. So I'm going to label it a 6, and X, and a Y. I'm not going to color code these because that's something you can do. Alright, so we have a 6, we have an X, and we have a Y. The medium triangle, this side right here is X. The medium side is 19. Disregard that square, I don't know why it's there. And the longest side is Z. The hypotenuse is Z in this right triangle. And last but not least, we have the large triangle. In the large triangle, you have a Y, a Z, and a 25. So I'm going to put a Y, a Z, and a 25. So what you have to do is you have to look at these distances and figure out what you're allowed to compare in order to solve all of these proportions. Okay? Just to get you started, I'm going to show you that the very first thing I would do would be compare 6 over X equals X over 19. This side compares to this side like this side compares to this side. This will give you X. Start there and you should be able to work your way all the way across and find X, Y, and Z. Remember, I want exact answers and I want the approximate values in your answer box. Make sure your answers are clearly visible. You can use the book. If you're still confused, open up the book, look at the examples, and work them out all period long. Have a fabulous day.